What up, what up? Coach Liebs here with episode 4 of Coach Talk. This will be a brief episode as far as the Don Bosco update goes. Not much to update you guys on. Something that's a tradition at Don Bosco is Wednesday practices, which is 2 days before the game, is a day that they've always called Day of X or Day of Execution. And we set up the scout team, but it's more team periods and more game-like situations. So we'll go 10 plays of offense and then go to punt, and then the defense will come on for 10 plays against the scout look, and then we'll go to kick return, and then the offense will come on for another 10 plays against the scout look, and the point of it and the goal of the day is to be perfect and execute your job perfectly. It's by no means a walkthrough. It's full speed. What we call usually thud tempo, meaning that it's everything's live up front, and then you want to keep everyone up off the ground. You don't want people rolling around, and then defenders are told to kind of thud and fit up the ball carrier. And when the ball's in the air, to avoid injury, it's a day where we let the offense catch the ball. But I love what we do with that, the Day of X. Because by Wednesday, you have the first, second, and third down game plan in. You got the red zone game plan in. Everyone kind of knows what the plan of attack is to win the game. And then, Wednesday's a day where you go out and you clean up all the details. You've corrected everything on film, and now let's go execute at a high level and really feel good about our plan headed into the game. And now Thursday, the day before the game, is a walkthrough where we'll run 40, 50 plays on both sides of the ball. And just walk through the looks we're expecting, where we should be going to the ball, where we should be going with the ball versus each look, how to run our routes versus each look, what the coverage indicators are, obviously all the blocking schemes up front, and then we roll, and it's really just a strong mental day today. An interesting thing about high school versus college is in high school we have 7-8 guys who play both ways. So with the walkthrough, the first half, let's say it's defensive emphasis, then those 7-8 guys will go with the defense, and and then we won't have them. They're starters on our offense we don't have for the first part of it, and for the second half of the walkthrough, they'll come and we'll have our full offense together. So that's definitely been an interesting difference coaching in high school. Is there'll be times where I have a receiver who's also our starting cornerback right now. He's our starting receiver as well, and there are times where I don't have him in Indy, or I don't have him for the first part of a team period, because he needs to be over with the defense, and all of our personnel groups change. Someone will be getting that rep that likely won't be doing that in the game, and he's getting less reps, and him and I need to spend extra time together to make sure he's on point, because the last thing I'm going to do is, he's trying to get recruited and play college football, and also he's the best, he's our starting receiver. He's going to help us win. So the last thing I'm going to do is let that be a hindrance to what we can do with the kid and how he's going to execute. So we have to spend a lot of extra time together making sure we're on the same page. But definitely a huge difference, high school versus college, is dealing with kids who play both ways. In college, you basically never ever see that. It's definitely been an adjustment. I wouldn't say it's really been much of a challenge, because we've been on top of it, and we've been fine, getting him ready and the other guys at other positions ready. But it's definitely a huge difference, and something you have to consider, extra meeting times with the kid and all that. But we got to walk through today. Going to be a good mental day. Hopefully the kids come locked in. I feel good and ready to go. On a Sideline Hustle note, really exciting news yesterday. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V on social media. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. If not, I'm not going to spend much time, talking about who he is, because this is irrelevant to you guys. But those of you guys who know him know he's a huge social media influencer, businessman, entrepreneur, puts out a lot of business advice and a lot of content on social media. And he's been extremely influential for me, kind of just my business models and strategies of how to grow the Sideline Hustle. A lot of it has been built on the backbone of his advice. And he followed us on Twitter yesterday. He's a huge Jets fan. And so I tagged him in the Sam Darnold teach tape that I made yesterday. And he followed us on Twitter. And of all the NFL guys, all the kind of famous influencers that have followed us, I think I was most excited about him, just because of how much he's helped me through his podcast, through his books that I've read, kind of strategize for how to build the Sideline Hustle. So that was really exciting news. On a personal note, Laquan Treadwell, the former Ole Miss receiver and now on the Vikings, he followed us a couple of days ago on Instagram as well. So it's been cool to see some notable figures kind of taking note of the Sideline Hustle and consuming our content. Really, really, really cool stuff. But the other thing I was kind of thinking about a little bit is coaching in Buzzwords. Briefly, is just Greg Schiano came and talked to us at Bosco in the offseason. He was recruiting some of our kids and talked defense with us. And he was talking about how players can only react in game speed if you coach in buzzwords. They can't think in sentences on the field. You got to find concise ways to communicate with your players in a way that is 2 to 3 words and really like paints a picture in their head for what to do. For example, you guys hear me talk all the time about eat up space, right? Eat up space means a lot for receivers. Like it means get on the defender's toes, like run up to him, close the space, make sure there's no space between you and him before you break on your release or your route. But also like it means, attack his short arm, which is, if he's inside leverage, you want to attack him further inside to move him that way. And eat up space kind of means all those different concepts. Get on his toes is another one. Different hand combats, rip, wipers, all those things. There's all these little buzzwords. And it's been really a thing I've learned at the highest level of college football, that those coaches, what separates Division I NFL coaches from, I think, other coaches is they are master communicators. And for example, Greg Schiano uses a stunt called NOAH, and nose over A, nose to the A gap, NOAH. And that's just, one word that paints a picture in your head and really means something. And I think that some of the greatest coaches have figured out the most efficient ways to communicate with their players without speaking in sentences. They speak in buzzwords, and that allows players to think clearly. They're at the line of scrimmage. Again, I always talk about how are you talking to yourself at the line of scrimmage before the play snapped. Well, you better be talking to yourself in buzzwords, because you don't have enough time to talk to yourself in paragraphs about what your plan is going to be. It better be, a few simple phrases that paint a picture and give you a strategy and let you go play fast. So I always thought that was interesting. Something I'll talk about more in future podcasts, but I was just kind of brainstorming what I wanted to address in the Coach Talk episode. I don't normally plan this out very much. I kind of just go off the cuff and let it rock. But it's something interesting. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on coaching in buzzwords. What other examples you have of being concise with your communication? All right, before we're done, on to the Q&A. We have my man Nolan on YouTube. He asked a question, what is the best way to balance your leadership by being able to inspire and push the team without stepping on the coach's toes and making him frustrated by taking away from his moment? I thought that was a very interesting question, and a little concerning on the coach's part, to be honest. Like, one of the worst parts about football in general, to me, and coaching, is coaches who have egos and coaches who try to make it about themselves. And I think that with all the money that the high-level coaches are being paid nowadays, that tends to show up more and more and more, where there are less coaches coaching the game of football to help kids' lives, help kids improve, help be role models to kids and be there to give, kids and young players and even the NFL, give them the foundations for success in their life and teach them values that are going to help them the rest of their life. Like, that's why I started coaching, is to influence kids and be a role model to kids. And I just thought football is such a great platform to do that. But, this sounds like this is a coach with an ego, like taking away from his moment. I would be so fired up. I don't care if a player, if a player's trying to motivate the team and lead the team, I'll coach him on how to lead the team. Hey, so-and-so, I didn't love the way you addressed, this kid the other day when you got after him. I think you need to be more positive, or hey, next time our boys aren't giving effort, you better rip them. Like I'll kind of coach our captains, our leaders on how to lead the team. But the last thing I would ever want to do is take that away from a kid and try to, he's stepping on my toes and taking away from my moment. This isn't about me. It ain't my moment. This is the player's moment. It's your team as a player. You're the one who has to go out there on Saturdays or Fridays whenever you play and go make the plays and go win the game for us and execute the game plan. So, that's very curious. But what I would tell you, Nolan, is just I guess pick and choose your times. If it's the coach's time to talk and it's and he's motivating the players and he's the one kind of being vocal, then give him that and find other ways to lead. You spend more time with your teammates than he does, so you can lead kids in the locker room. You can lead kids in between periods by just putting your arm around them and talking to them, frankly, and being real with them. So I think that's a good way to lead them, and just find other pockets to lead these kids. And it doesn't have to necessarily be out loud and screaming and all that stuff. But interesting take there. I would say keep doing what you're doing and just have a real conversation with your coach as well and see what he wants you to do and how you can be better for him. All right, that's all I got. This is Coach Liebs, episode 4 of Coach Talk. Peace.